It is time, once again, for some watch news. So let us begin. So a bit ago, I was perusing through YouTube videos and stumbled upon something really cool. There was a video on Teddy Baldessar's channel with Tom Segura in it, which is just crazy, and I love Tom, so I had to watch the video. And it was so entertaining. So he was shopping at Teddy's boutique, looking for various watches, and he was wearing a JLC and told the story behind that watch. They also went through some pictures of Tom wearing various watches that he owns, and he was telling where he got them and the stories behind those. They also looked at some Grand Seikos, some Glasutas, some Omegas. Tom was sharing some of his preferences in watches, and being funny, talking about how his wife used to buy him lame gifts all the time, like scissors, and he had to remind her that all the money is both of theirs. He likes cool stuff. Buy him a watch. And so now she buys him amazing luxury watches. Such a fun video. And if you want to see what he ended up buying, you'll have to watch the video when you're done here, of course. The link to it is in the show notes below. The next little bit of news comes to us from Watch Pro and Tissot's own website. I don't think I've seen these before, but there are ladies PRXs. They have 25mm cases, they're 9mm thick, they have 100 meters of water resistance, and they cost $325. I actually really like the white mother of pearl dial. I think that looks great. It's nice and subtle, it's not over the top at all. It's classy and yet interesting. And when I first encountered these, I was thinking at that small case size, 9mm thick, do they look like a brick? But if you look at the side shot of these watches, they don't look too terrible. They're available in a few different colorways. I do also like the glacial blue, or I guess Tissot calls it ice blue, but that's a color dial that I would like to get anyway. These little watches are no-date pieces, and they're great for people, women, who like really small watches. From the pictures, they look pretty cool. Next up, we have a review that I encountered on the wristwatch review site. And this was a review of a Shinola Monster at 36mm, the Circadian Monster. And what's cool is, these watches are in an Explorer size, but they're not an Explorer style watch. The color of the dial looks absolutely amazing. It's sort of an orangish brick reddish color. They do make these in different colorways and with different dial colors as well. And one such dial is mother of pearl. Actually, I think all of them might be, just different colors of it. Okay. So like I said, they're 36mm. The movement inside them is an SW200-1. They are on the spendy side at about $1,700. I like the handset they went with, the markers look great. There's a date window at the 3 o'clock, and it has a thin metal frame around it. Interestingly, the lug width on these is 16mm. They have 100 meters of water resistance, and yeah, that orange-red dial just looks super cool. And the next bit of news that I have is also Teddy related. So on his blog, I found an interesting article on Bulova's Milestones. So in 2025, Bulova turns 150, and here are some of the things that he listed in his article. Bulova devoted 25% of its advertising to the promotion of war bonds and stamps during World War II. In 1945, after the war, Arde Bulova established the Joseph Bulova School for Watchmaking, named after his father who had died in 1935 and dedicated to training disabled war veterans as watchmakers to assist their return to civilian life. In 1917, Bulova registered the name Rubaiyat, I don't know if I pronounced that right, and applied it to a line of wristwatches, possibly the first watch series ever marketed by Bulova, and almost definitely one of the earliest models designed with female customers in mind. And that's a pretty cool looking watch. In 1926, the company aired the first national radio advertisement, which established its memorable refrain, 10 p.m. BULOVA, Bulova Watch Time. I remember that refrain. No, I don't. In 1927, Bulova introduced the world's first clock radio. July 1st, 1941, at 2:29 p.m. Eastern Time on the NBC television station WNBT, a 10-second advertisement was broadcast over the airwaves immediately before a televised baseball game between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Brooklyn Dodgers. It featured a clock superimposed over a map of the continental United States, along with a caption, "America runs on Bulova time." And apparently Bulova paid $9 for the groundbreaking spot. And it was a 10-second advertisement. I think that should become a thing. World War II hero General Omar Bradley served as chairman of the board from 1958 to 1973. And the goal of increased accuracy in timekeeping, the historic result came in 1960, the Accutron SpaceView 214, which was the brainchild of a Swiss-born Bulova engineer named Max Hetzel, the world's first fully electronic watch. Starting as early as 1958, Bulova began outfitting NASA space missions with timekeeping devices built around the groundbreaking Accutron technology. That's pretty cool. And for this next bit of news, just today I received an email from D1 Milano. They are producing square watches. And they're pretty interesting looking. They have a round dial, but the case is sort of a rounded square that curves into the bracelet. And it appears that they have standard lugs, but the overall look of the watch is very similar to an integrated bracelet as far as aesthetics goes. These are no-date pieces, and they're available in two different sizes, 37 and 32 millimeters. Now, to some people 37 might sound small, but bear in mind these are square watches, so that is definitely a contemporary size. They're available in a number of different colorways, some fun blue and green dials. Personally, I like the silver dial one. That looks pretty cool. That one is actually called Disco Gray, and it's super minimal. There are no markers on the dial at all, just hands. They are only 6.46 millimeters thick. They have sapphire crystals, and inside of them is a citizen quartz movement. They aren't exactly cheap. They sell for about $375. Very interesting design. Alright, for this last bit of news, this will be a little bit different. I'm going to show you something that I have here that came from one of you. And I'll track down some similar things. This is a project watch. A watch that is a project. And no, it is not putting together a mechanical watch. This is entirely different. And I'm going to find similar projects. If you're interested and intrigued by this, there'll be links to those in the show notes below. Those will be affiliate links, so if you are looking to buy one, that will help support the channel. It's a win-win. Alright, so let's flip the camera around and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so one of you saw this and thought it would be cool to purchase it and have it sent to me, and it was not at all what I expected. Not even close. So this is one of those assemble it yourself and solder it LCD watches. It comes with a couple of chips, some plastic discs. So this makes up the watch's body. They're layered and you screw them together. So you would lay the chip on one level, put down another piece of plastic, something else goes there, and just kind of build it up from the bottom up. As you can see, it's pretty thick and very large. So what I'm thinking about doing when I do assemble all of this is actually use it as a reference clock on my desk, so I can push the button and see what time it is when I'm setting my other watches. You get a circuit board, some resistors and other components, and here is the display. It also shows up with a Velcro strap, and I may be able to use this as a base for it. I can make a small circle with it and just set the clock right on top of that. We'll see. So I looked on Amazon thinking if anyone else was intrigued by this, I could put an affiliate's link below, and I didn't see any watches that are a project like this, but I did see some really cool looking desk clocks that you assemble and solder. So I'll put links to those below. They're pretty cool looking. So I have never soldered anything in my life. I'm gonna have to purchase a soldering gun and some solder and probably some helping hands, I think. Hopefully I don't ruin this. I've watched a couple different videos on how you put these together, and it looks pretty straightforward. And one guy that I watched didn't really have soldering skills, but he did okay. And by the time he was done, he had gotten a lot faster at it, and his work was a lot cleaner. So we'll see. I'll have to find some wire and just kind of practice on something else first, and see how I do, and then try tackling this. I'm not sure when I'm going to get a soldering gun, but when I do, maybe I'll have to document it in video form. But very cool. Thank you so much to the viewer who sent this. This will be an interesting project. So there you have it. You are now caught up on watch news. Thanks for watching.